Hi everyone, just me again. Today's video is going to be about why I prefer Super Sentai to Power Rangers, its American adaptation. Now, I thought I'd just start off by saying this isn't an attack against Power Rangers as a brand, or against anyone that is more of a fan of Power Rangers or is just a fan of Power Rangers than Super Sentai. This is just my opinions on why I personally prefer Sentai to Power Rangers. So please don't be offended if you don't agree with my comments. But if you don't agree, or you do agree, do let me know. I mean, I like to have discussion about these sort of things. And if you do have a valid point as to why you prefer Power Rangers to Sentai, or any Sentai fans that agree with me or have other points, then let me know. Like I said, I love discussion. So yeah. Anyway, why do I prefer Sentai to Power Rangers? To be honest, straight from the bat, one of the reasons is that Sentai doesn't often have as much corny lines as Power Rangers does. I mean, during a fight, one of the Rangers will deliver a line of dialogue that seems to be clever or witty, so it's a pun on the situation, like they use a blaster and they make some joke like I don't know, taste my rail bolts, or taste my how do you like those plasma bolts breakfast, or energy bolts, um, or what else? I actually can't think of. Sorry, I can't think off the top of my head any examples of the corny lines they use. But anyone that's watched it will see it. It's not normal dialogue. It's not something that you'd expect in an actual fight. Whilst in Sentai, they don't actually use really any of these puns. They actually go more for the kind of dramatic language, kind of almost Shakespearean-like. But I find that watchable. That's the main point. Some of the corny lines and stuff, I can't really watch it. It just makes me like groan inside. So anytime I've watched some Power Ranger adaptations, I do have to lessen the volume so I don't end up groaning more than I'm actually watching the show. And anyway, the other points are, usually I feel the Sentai actors that they get in to play the parts are a lot more, that they act much better than the American or New Zealand actors that they do have now. I know that's the thing because Toei, very bad pronouncing names. I know that Toei, the company that produces Super Sentai, has for the last 35 years. They've got a lot better standing. They're a bigger company in Asia. Just Super Sentai has a bigger standing over there, so they can reel in better actors. It's kind of seen as a more of a thing. It like with the Power Ranger thing. It's sort of like if it's sort of what I'm trying to get here. Um, it's kids acting. It's acting for a TV show that people know will go on for one season. So people know it's a solid sell at the end of the day if they want to do a good season of acting and get paid for it, etc. And I think that's the same thing with both the adaptations. But with Sentai, I think it's a lot more well received and recognized over there. So the level of acting they have is better and much more believable, and that definitely comes across. I mean, some of the wooden acting that we've seen in Power Rangers, it's just, again, along with the delivery of the suspicious dialogue that some of the writers in Power Rangers often get, um, it just combines together to make sometimes it a bit hard to watch some of the Power Ranger adaptations. Not all the time. I mean, Power Rangers RPM was brilliant. It was a really good show. Yes, they did have some of the corny lines, but they didn't have it in over amount, and there was actually some thought given into the adaptation. Whereas Jungle Fury, Operation Overdrive, and definitely the most recent series of Samurai, Super Samurai, and now with Power Ranger Megaforce and then Super Megaforce, they rely on a heavy amount of puns because they're trying to put it to be purely a kids show, while Sentai is directed more to be a family show, and that hinges quite well there on being a family show, so it's watchable for adults as well as the children. And just speaking about the essence of Sentai against Power Rangers, going back to it being a family show versus a kids show, I feel it definitely Power Rangers doesn't deal with as much mature issues as Sentai does. I mean, let's look at the just think, Well, let's look at Jungle Fury again as an example. Geki Ranger, which Jungle Fury was based off of, Geki Ranger had a whole plot about martial artists gaining their skills, learning, growing, advancing, having fierce rivalry with other martial artists like Jan, the Red Geki Ranger, versus Rio, the head of the evil school. They had a fierce rivalry, and there was issues of jealousy and responsibility of power, especially with Geki Rangers, and of a past war in history. You didn't see that really in Jungle Fury. There was nothing about. There was this ancient evil, or Daishi. They pulled that out somewhere for Jungle Fury, but it didn't have the depth and complexity that Geki Ranger had. And what you often see is a Sentai will have a huge amount of plot, a huge amount of character development. They on average do have about now twice the amount of episodes that the Power Ranger adaptations have. It is slightly ridiculous that Samurai and Megaforce have to squeeze so much plot and upgrades and powers into 20 episodes, only 20 episodes, whereas most of the Sentai have 52, 53 to work with. So there is some leeway to give there, but at the same time, that's the other major fault I have with Power Rangers, is they often don't put the money into the productions. And what I mean about that is you'll see a lot of chop shop editing in Power Rangers of the action scenes that they have. If you watch the last episode, last fight, but in Super Samurai in the Samurai Rangers and Master Xandred, they spliced together footage of the final fight between the Rangers and Xandred from Shinkenger, the Samurai Sentai original, with original footage they filmed. And it doesn't take scientists to realize there's something wrong here, because the building layouts are completely different from scene to scene. In Shinkenger, the last scene was flat with some ruined buildings all around them. In Samurai, they had huge ruined buildings towering behind them that were not present in the second before. And then that's an example I mean. They often do not spend the amount of money necessary to make it a decent adaptation. And anyone with a good eye will notice there's something wrong from this scene to that scene, etc. And lastly, one of my other major points is part of why part of why Sentai is fun to watch is because even when it's serious, it still has a lot of comedic and comical elements in it. Either from just like everyday situations the Rangers get into, actual comical villains, comical allies. I'm not trying to say that means it cheapens the message that a lot of the Sentai series have, but what I'm getting at is it makes it sometimes easier to watch and just to relax you to watch it. Because from what I see, Sentai realizes that you don't have to be serious all the time, that you can have a laugh. Whereas the humor you often see in Power Rangers is more juvenile by nature. Because, again, the aiming at kids rather than aiming at family means that the writers are often working to, I don't want to say a lesser level, but not perhaps as sophisticated as sometimes you do get with the Sentai. I know I'm making this sound like Sentai is much more of an adult show to watch then, something that adults will prefer to Power Rangers, but that again is just my opinion at the end of the day, and all these points are just my opinion. I hope that they are well founded, that some people understand where I'm coming from with this. But just at the end of the day, that's why I prefer Sentai. It's often what I feel better directed, better presented, better acting, and just better messages, but still keeping a comic element to it. But I do admit that there has been good Power Ranger versions, like RPM, and like In Space, which everyone remembers, the original trilogy of seasons, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Whereas, I mean, that is now legendary within the Western world, and actually it's well received within Asia. I think they're quite amused at what we actually took and did with the original material. Oh, but yeah. So anyway, that's my point. So I wanted to address about that. Um, Leave a comment below and stuff, and watch my other stuff, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.